Hey everyone, Marco here, and welcome back to the channel. Today, we're diving into a really important topic that affects so many people: herniated discs, and the exercises you absolutely need to be cautious about. If you're dealing with a herniated disc, you're likely familiar with the pain, discomfort, and limited mobility it can cause. It's not just a minor ache, it can significantly impact your daily life, making even simple tasks feel like a monumental effort. That nagging pain, the shooting sensations, the weakness, I get it, it's tough. And finding the right path to recovery can feel overwhelming, especially when it comes to physical activity. Now, we all know that movement is medicine, right? While exercise is crucial for overall spine health and recovery, doing the wrong types of movements can actually make your condition worse. It's a bit of a paradox. You need to move to get better, but some movements can set you back significantly. This is where knowledge becomes your most powerful tool. It's not about avoiding exercise altogether, but about being smart and selective with the activities you choose. We want to support the healing process, not hinder it, and that means understanding the biomechanics involved and how certain stresses impact your already vulnerable discs. That's exactly what we're going to break down in this video. Understanding which exercises to avoid with a herniated disc can help you prevent further injury, manage pain more effectively, and promote healing. We'll go through specific movements, explain why they pose a risk, and empower you to make informed decisions about your fitness routine. My goal here is to give you the clarity you need to navigate your recovery safely and effectively so you can get back to feeling your best. So grab a comfortable seat, maybe a notepad, and let's get into it. Alright, let's kick things off with a very common group of exercises that many people turn to for core strength sit-ups and crunches. Now, while building a strong core is incredibly important, especially when dealing with back issues, these particular movements can be problematic for a herniated disc. Think about what happens during a sit-up or a crunch. You're repeatedly flexing your lumbar spine, rounding your lower back forward. This action places a significant amount of compressive stress directly onto the intervertebral discs in your lower back. If a disc is already herniated, meaning the gel-like center is pushing outwards, this repeated flexion can exacerbate the problem. Imagine your disc is like a jelly donut and the jelly is already trying to squeeze out. Every time you do a crunch, you're essentially squeezing that donut, potentially pushing more of that jelly, or nucleus pulposus in medical terms, further out. This can worsen the disc protrusion and increase the chances of nerve impingement, which is what often causes that sharp radiating pain, numbness, or tingling down your leg. So, while the intention to strengthen your core is good, the mechanics of sit-ups and crunches make them a high-risk choice when a disc is compromised. We need to find safer ways to engage those core muscles without this kind of detrimental spinal flexion. Next up, let's talk about exercises that involve significant forward bending from the waist, like traditional toe touches or standing forward folds. These stretches are often seen as a good way to improve flexibility and relieve back tension, but for someone with a herniated disc, they can spell trouble. When you bend forward, especially with straight legs, you're putting your lumbar spine into deep flexion. This motion dramatically increases the intradiscal pressure, meaning the pressure inside your spinal discs. For a disc that's already bulging or herniated, this added pressure can be incredibly detrimental. Think of it this way: your spinal discs act as cushions between your vertebrae. When you bend forward sharply, you compress the front part of these discs and stretch the back part. If the disc is already weakened and herniated posteriorly, which is very common, this forward bending can push the herniated material even further out, potentially aggravating nerve roots. This can lead to an increase in symptoms like sciatica, that sharp shooting pain down the leg, or worsen existing lower back pain. It's a movement that, while seemingly innocent, can seriously set back your recovery by overstretching the posterior ligaments and further destabilizing the injured disc. Let's shift gears and discuss high-impact activities. I'm talking about exercises like running, jogging, jumping, or any sport that involves a lot of pounding movements. While these activities are fantastic for cardiovascular health and overall fitness under normal circumstances, they can be quite jarring for a spine that's already dealing with a herniated disc. The main issue here is the repetitive stress and the shock waves that travel through your body, particularly up your spinal column, with each foot strike or landing. These forces can directly irritate an already sensitive herniated disc and the surrounding nerves. Imagine your spine as a stack of building blocks with cushions in between. With a herniated disc, one of those cushions is compromised. Every time you land hard from a run or a jump, it sends a jolt through that stack. For healthy discs, this is usually manageable as they are designed to absorb shock. But a herniated disc has lost some of its cushioning ability and is already inflamed. The repetitive impact can lead to microtrauma, increased inflammation, and a significant worsening of pain. It's like repeatedly poking an already sore spot. It's just not going to help it heal and might actually make the situation more acute. Now let's address heavy weightlifting, particularly exercises like traditional deadlifts and back squats. These are powerhouse exercises for building strength, there's no doubt about it. However, when you have a herniated disc, the immense axial loading and potential for spinal compression they create can be extremely risky. When you're lifting a heavy load from the floor, as in a deadlift, or supporting a heavy barbell on your shoulders during a squat, your spine, especially the lumbar region, is subjected to significant compressive forces. This pressure can squeeze the intervertebral discs, potentially worsening a disc bulge or extrusion. The danger isn't just in the weight itself but also in the potential for even minor form deviations under load. If your form isn't absolutely perfect, which is hard to maintain with heavy weights even for experienced lifters, you can put uneven stress on your spine. This can lead to shearing forces or excessive flexion or extension, all of which can aggravate a herniated disc. Even with good form, the sheer amount of pressure on the lower back during these lifts can be enough to push a compromised disc past its tipping point, leading to increased pain, nerve irritation, and a prolonged recovery. It's crucial to avoid these until your disc has healed and you've rebuilt foundational strength under guidance. Let's move on to another category of exercises that can be particularly problematic for a herniated disc twisting or rotational movements. Think exercises like Russian twists, certain cable machine rotations, or even the forceful twisting involved in a golf or tennis swing if not properly managed. The primary concern here is the torque and uneven pressure these movements place on your intervertebral discs. Your spinal discs are pretty good at handling compression when the force is distributed evenly, but they are much more vulnerable to injury when subjected to twisting or torsional forces, especially when combined with flexion or loading. When you twist your torso, especially with added weight or speed like in a Russian twist, you create a shearing force across the disc. This can strain the annular fibers, the tough outer layers of the disc, which may already be weakened or torn in the case of a herniation. This rotational stress can exacerbate the existing tear, potentially allowing more of the nucleus pulposus to escape, or it can irritate the facet joints in the spine as well. For someone with an active herniated disc, these kinds of movements can be like wringing out a wet towel. It puts a lot of stress on the fibers and can significantly increase pain and instability in the affected spinal segment. An exercise that often flies under the radar but can be quite troublesome for a herniated disc is the leg press machine. Many people turn to the leg press as a seemingly safer alternative to squats, especially if they're trying to avoid loading their back directly. However, the leg press can inadvertently strain the lower back if not performed with meticulous attention to form, particularly regarding the position of your lumbar spine. The main issue arises when your lower back, your lumbar spine, rounds and lifts off the back pad as you bring your knees towards your chest. This rounding, often called a butt wink in a squat, causes significant lumbar flexion under load. Even though the weight isn't directly on your shoulders, your spine is still being compressed against the pad. And this flexion can increase pressure on the anterior part of your discs, potentially pushing the herniated material further posteriorly. It's easy for this to happen, especially if you have tight hamstrings or hip flexors, or if you're trying to use too much weight or go through an excessive range of motion. This can lead to more pain, irritation of the nerve roots, and a definite setback in your recovery journey from a herniated disc. Finally, let's discuss overhead pressing movements such as the military press or dumbbell shoulder press. While these are excellent for building shoulder and upper body strength, they can also place considerable stress on both your cervical, neck, and lumbar, lower back discs if you have a herniation. When you lift weights overhead, there's a natural tendency for the spine to compensate, especially if the weight is challenging or if your core stability isn't optimal. This often involves some degree of hyperextension in the lower back to help push the weight up. This hyperextension can compress the posterior aspects of your lumbar discs, which can be problematic if your herniation is there or if it causes general instability. Furthermore, the load itself transmits down the entire spinal column. For the cervical spine, stabilizing a heavy weight overhead requires significant effort from the neck muscles, and any slight deviation in form or pre-existing cervical disc issue can be aggravated. The overall compressive load, combined with potential for poor posture or hyperextension, can put excess pressure on vulnerable discs, risking misalignment, increased nerve irritation, and a flare-up of your symptoms, whether they originate in your neck or your lower back. So, there you have it. A detailed look at some key exercises you should approach with extreme caution, or avoid altogether, if you're managing a herniated disc. Knowing which exercises to avoid if you have a herniated disc is essential to a safe and effective recovery. It's not about being fearful of movement, but about being educated and strategic. Remember, the goal is to reduce stress on the compromised disc and create an environment where your body can heal. Pushing through pain with the wrong exercises will almost certainly delay your progress and could even lead to more significant problems down the line. Instead, the focus should be on safe, supportive exercises that promote healing, build core strength in a spine-sparing way, and reduce pressure on the discs. This often involves gentle mobility work, specific core stabilization exercises that don't involve flexion or excessive rotation, and activities like walking or swimming, once cleared by your healthcare provider. Always listen to your body. Pain is a signal, not something to be ignored. Working with a qualified physical therapist or a knowledgeable coach who understands spinal conditions can make a world of difference in guiding you through the right modifications and progressions. Ultimately, managing a herniated disc is a journey, and it requires patience and smart choices. By staying informed and making mindful choices about your physical activity, you can manage your herniated disc with confidence and return to an active, pain-free life. Don't get discouraged, focus on what you do safely, and build from there. Thanks so much for watching, everyone. If you found this video helpful, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe for more content, and share it with anyone who might benefit. Stay safe, stay strong, and I'll see you in the next video.